Tyreek Hill went down on Monday Night Football with an injury so brutal that some are saying he may never step on an NFL field again. The Dolphins still pulled off a win, but honestly, nobody cared about that score once Hill was carted off. A nightmare moment for Miami fans. But that wasn't the only chaos in Week 4. More season-ending injuries piled up, shocking upsets flipped the standings, and yes, another walk-off field goal sent fans into a frenzy. This week had everything: heartbreak, drama, and a whole lot of wild twists. Let's kick it off with the showdown in Dublin, Ireland. The stadium was rocking with Steelers fans, and for 3 quarters, Pittsburgh looked unstoppable, jumping out to a 24-6 lead. The Vikings stormed back late with 2 touchdowns and even had a chance to tie it, but turned it over on downs. Steelers escaped 24-21, barely breathing by the end. Aaron Rodgers was dealing lightning-fast passes all game, averaging 2.17 seconds to release the ball, his quickest since 2016. Even without Jaylen Warren, backup Kenneth Gainwell went off for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf also electrified the crowd, taking a short pass and exploding for an 80-yard score. On top of it all, Carson Wentz got wrecked again, sacked 6 times, the second time in just 4 weeks that the Vikings line has collapsed like that. 6 sacks! No wonder. The Vikings O-line was dropping like flies. Left guard Donovan Jackson was already out, then center Ryan Kelly left with a concussion, and right tackle Brian O'Neill sprained his MCL. Not season-ending, but he's sidelined for weeks. Luckily, their bye in Week 6 buys them some healing time. But the Steelers had injury chaos too. Jalen Ramsey pulled one of the wildest moments you'll ever see. He pretended to tweak his hamstring during a touchdown celebration, just to troll Justin Jefferson with the gritty. Later in the game, he actually injured the same hamstring for real. You can't script this stuff. Ramsey's now expected to miss several games, along with wide receiver Calvin Austin, who hurt his shoulder. The Vikings will stay overseas and face the Browns in London. But with that banged-up line, Cleveland's D-line could feast again. The Browns smothered the Lions, holding them to just 277 yards. But Joe Flacco sabotaged any chance of a win with 2 interceptions and a fumble, handing Detroit 17 points plus a punt return touchdown. Jared Goff didn't need huge numbers. He just kept feeding Amon-Ra St. Brown, who snagged 2 more touchdowns. That's 6 in his last 3 games, leading the league in receiving scores. And for Cleveland fans, at least Quinshon Judkins' breakout is giving them something to cheer about. He topped 100 scrimmage yards and scored again. But let's be real, it might be time for the Browns to think about another rookie quarterback. Maybe Dylan Gabriel? Because Joe is looking old and shaky, and Cleveland's offense is sputtering. They did trade for tackle Cam Robinson after losing Dawan Jones to a season-ending knee injury, but that's just one patch on a sinking ship. At 1-3, this could be another long, ugly season for the Browns. Meanwhile, the Giants finally grabbed their first win, stunning the Chargers 21-18 in Jackson Dart's debut. The rookie threw 1, ran for another, and showed flashes even while taking 5 sacks. New York pounded the rock 42 times, and Dart's mistake-free play was the difference. Herbert, on the other hand, imploded. 2 interceptions, 14 penalties, and a nightmare performance that buried the Chargers. Dexter Lawrence almost pulled off a big man touchdown after swatting and catching Herbert's pass, and Drew Phillips grabbed the other pick to seal it. But the Giants' win came at a brutal cost. Star rookie Malik Neighbors tore his ACL going up for a ball. He's done for the season, another huge name lost on that cursed MetLife turf. That MetLife turf strikes again. Malik Neighbors tore his ACL, adding to the long list of stars lost on that cursed field since 2020. With him out, Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton become the Giants' top options, but losing a near-elite rookie like Neighbors is a crushing blow. Wishing him the best in recovery. Also sending best wishes to Giants owner John Mara, who revealed he's battling cancer. He says he's optimistic while undergoing treatment, and that news rocked the football world. The Chargers had their own nightmare. Rookie tackle Joe Alt was carted off with an ankle injury. Not season-ending, but he's likely out for weeks. And with Rashawn Slater already gone, Justin Herbert is taking a beating. He's been hit 14 times in back-to-back weeks, the most in the league right now. That O-line is falling apart fast. And then came the Bears-Raiders finish. Chicago stole a 25-24 win after Josh Blackwell blocked Daniel Carlson's 54-yard game winner at the buzzer. A crushing loss for Vegas, made worse by Geno Smith's meltdown, 3 interceptions giving him 7 already this year, the most in the NFL. The lone bright spot? Ashton Gentry broke out in a big way, 138 rushing yards, plus 2 receiving touchdowns to complete a wild 3-score performance. The Bears' defense is heating up, 4 turnovers forced for the second straight week. Caleb Williams led a clutch fourth-quarter drive to steal the win, even after throwing a pick to Max Crosby, and with the team somehow managing just 2 rushing yards in the first half. They're now 2-2 and hanging in the NFC North race. But the wildest meltdown of the week? Colts receiver Adonai Mitchell. He cost Indy 2 touchdowns in their loss to the Rams. First, he made a ridiculous contested grab, spun free, and walked into the end zone, only to drop the ball too early while showboating. Touchback, Rams ball. Brutal. Then, late in the fourth, Jonathan Taylor ripped off a 48-yard touchdown run that would have put Indy up by 7. Instead, Mitchell got flagged for holding, wiping the play out. And on the very next snap, Matthew Stafford bombed an 88-yard touchdown to Tutu Atwell, the longest of his entire 17-year career. Talk about instant karma. The Colts still had a chance with over a minute left, but Daniel Jones threw his second pick of the day, both snagged by Cam Curl, who had himself a monster game. And speaking of monster games, Puka Nacua lit it up once again. 13 catches, 170 yards, and a touchdown. Ridiculous performance from a former fifth-rounder who's leading the NFL in receiving yards and pacing for insane numbers. He might not keep that pace, but right now he's cooking and nobody's slowing him down. The Rams and Colts are both 3-1. LA stuck in a 3-way division jam, while Indy shares the AFC South lead with the Jags after a huge Sunday win. Jacksonville flipped the script with 4 San Francisco turnovers, including that strip sack by ex-Niner Eric Armstead late to seal it. The Jags now lead the league with 13 turnovers after only 9 all last year. That's wild. Parker Washington even took one back on a punt, the first time Jax has had that in 8 seasons. Big moment. Offensively, Jacksonville was clean, no turnovers, and Travis Etienne hit 100-plus yards for the second time this year. He's having a bounce-back season, sitting third in rushing and averaging a career-high 6.1 yards a pop through 4 games. That ground game is legit. For San Fran, Brock Purdy threw for 300-plus in his first game back from a toe issue, but he also coughed it up. 2 picks and a late fumble that cost them the win. There's chatter he may have tweaked that toe again, so his status next week is dicey. Mac Jones could get a look. Also watch Ricky Pearsall. He's dealing with a knee problem and might miss the next game too. Tempers boiled over after the match. Jags coach Liam Cohen and Mr. Duval squared off with 49ers DC Robert Saleh in a heated shouting match. Saleh had ripped the Jags' staff for being too good at legal sign stealing, and Cohen snapped, reportedly telling Saleh to keep my name out your mouth, to which Saleh allegedly shot back, "I will mess your world up." This beef isn't going away anytime soon. Can't say for sure what was mouthed during that sideline shouting match, but one thing's clear. Saleh wanted smoke and Mr. Duval didn't back down. In the end, Cohen had the last laugh. His Jags walked away with the W. Meanwhile, the Eagles are laughing too, now the NFC's lone 4-0 squad. They came out swinging against Tampa, blocking a punt on the opening drive with Sidney Brown scooping it 35 yards to the house. Philly jumped ahead 24-6 by halftime. But Jalen Hurts was a tale of 2 halves. First half, nearly perfect, 15 of 16, 130 yards, 2 scores. Second half, brutal, 0 for 8, no yards, nothing. Still, Hurts has gone 241 passes without a pick, the longest active streak in the league. Tampa made it interesting late. Down 8 with 6 minutes left, Baker Mayfield drove them into Eagles territory. And with 3 fourth-quarter comebacks already this year, the Baker Magic looked alive. But a huge sack killed the drive, turnover on downs, and Philly iced it. Final was 31-25, but the wildest moment? The Bucs punter ran backwards for a safety, losing 34 rushing yards in the process. A stat sheet nightmare that kept Tampa's streak alive of holding teams under 100 rushing yards. Officially 12 straight games, even if this one's fluky. Either way, they did lock up Saquon Barkley, holding him to just 43 yards, his lowest ever as an Eagle. Bucky Irving is the name everyone's watching after he went down with a nasty-looking ankle injury. Todd Bowles even admitted he's worried. Never good when the head coach says that. Hopefully it's not season-ending, but he could be out longer than expected. The Eagles rolled again, and so did the Patriots, absolutely smashing the Panthers 42-13. Just a week after coughing up 5 turnovers to Pittsburgh, New England played a clean game, went 4 for 4 in the red zone, and even housed an 87-yard punt return. Rookie quarterback Drake May was lights out, 14 of 17 for 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus a rushing score capped with the Superman celebration. Everything clicked as the Pats got back to .500, but now comes their biggest test. Sunday night in Buffalo. And speaking of Buffalo, the Bills are 4-0 after beating the Saints 31-19. It wasn't a blowout early, but in the fourth quarter, Buffalo pulled away and made history, tying their regular season home win streak at 14. One more against New England sets a new record. Josh Allen had 2 passing TDs and 1 rushing, tying Cam Newton's mark for 45 career games with both. James Cook also made history, scoring a rushing touchdown in his 8th straight game, a franchise record. Meanwhile, the Texans finally got off the mat, blanking the Titans 26-0 behind Cam Ward, who kept it 100 all game long. The Titans are a disaster, 0-4 after giving up 26 to a team that averaged just 12 a game. Not great, but for Houston, this was their best offensive showing all year. C.J. Stroud was sharp, 22 of 28 for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. The real story, though, rookie running back Woody Marks. For the first time, he out-touched Nick Chubb, racking up 119 yards and 2 scores, 1 rushing, 1 receiving, with that ground TD coming on a filthy cut. With Joe Mixon still out and Chubb aging, Marks might just be the future in Houston. Off the field, the Texans made a questionable move, shipping Cam Robinson to Cleveland for a late pick swap. They paid him $14.5 million, benched him week 1, and now basically burned $9.4 million for 1 game before dumping him. Add that to the C.J. Gardner-Johnson release earlier, and it's another rough look for their front office. Maybe it's about cleaning up the locker room, but depth on the O-line is exactly what they don't need to lose. Elsewhere, the Falcons handled Washington 34-27. With Jaden Daniels still sidelined and Terry McLaurin out, Marcus Mariota couldn't keep up. Atlanta led wire to wire, and Bijan Robinson went off with a career-high 180 yards and a touchdown. Drake London also broke out for 110 and a score, while Michael Penix diced Washington for 313 yards and 2 touchdowns despite 1 pick. He was firing quick, 13 for 13 on throws under 10 yards, racking up 180 yards and 2 touchdowns on nothing but short strikes. A perfect bounce back after getting blanked 30-0 by Carolina last week. Now they head into the bye, hoping Jaden Daniels is back soon, but it sounds like Scary Terry could be sidelined longer. Meanwhile, the Chiefs straight up demolished the Ravens at Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes tossed 4 touchdowns, his first time doing that since 2023, and Kansas City's defense terrorized Lamar Jackson. Nearly 50% of his dropbacks were pressured, leading to 3 sacks, a pick, and a fumble. That so-called number. One scoring offense that was averaging 37 a game, Kansas City held them to just 13. To make it worse, Lamar left late in the third with a hamstring injury. Some think he's faking it, but this one looked real, and he could miss a game or 2. And the Ravens' injury list didn't stop there. Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, and Ronnie Stanley all went down and didn't return. Now Baltimore sits at 1-3, beaten up, and staring at a brutal stretch with Houston and LA coming up. What was supposed to be a contender is turning into a full-blown nightmare season, and it could unravel fast if they drop to 1-4 or 1-5. Micah Parsons' return to Green Bay against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football had the whole league buzzing, and the game delivered absolute chaos. Parsons generated 10 pressures, and while he didn't register a sack all night, in overtime, he finally got Dak Prescott at the line of scrimmage. Technically, it went down as a sack, though it was more of a stop than a takedown. Still, it was a massive moment. This game was insane start to finish. The Packers looked set to go up 14-0, but their extra point got blocked and returned for a score, flipping it to 13-2. From there, it was touchdown ping pong. 6 straight TDS by both sides, every one a lead change. Brandon McManus then nailed a 53-yarder to force overtime. Dallas struck first in OT, driving to Green Bay's 4-yard line where Dak looked ready to run in for the win, until Parsons flew in from behind for the stop. The Packers failed to punch it in on their drive, but salvaged a field goal with 1 second left, ending this wild shootout in a 40-40 tie. One of the craziest, most anticlimactic finishes you'll ever see. Both QBs were lights out. Jordan Love went 31 of 43 for 337 yards and 3 scores. Dak nearly mirrored him with 31 of 40 for 337 yards and 3 scores, 319 and 3 TDS. Even the RBs matched up. Josh Jacobs with 86 and 2 scores, Javonte Williams with 85 and 1. And George Pickens? He went off, stepping in for injured CeeDee Lamb and dominating. He went off, 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, while Romeo Doubs grabbed a hat trick with 3 scores from Jordan Love. It turned into the highest scoring tie of the Super Bowl era, an absolute shootout. The Cowboys now sit 1-2-1 with the Jets and Panthers up next. Should be easy wins. Green Bay's 2-1-1 and staring at a very winnable matchup with a Burrow-less Bengals team. Monday Night Football gave us 2 games, Dolphins versus, Jets and Broncos versus, Bengals, but the real story wasn't the scorelines. It was Tyreek Hill's terrifying injury. Early in the third, he caught a pass on the sideline, planted wrong, and his leg twisted in a way you never want to see. The cart rushed out, his leg went straight into an air cast, and the stadium went silent. Somehow, Tyreek was smiling and cheering for fans on the way out, even joking with teammates. But the diagnosis was brutal. He dislocated his knee and tore multiple ligaments, including the ACL. Doctors believe the damage could extend to the MCL, LCL, PCL, maybe all of them. He was rushed to the hospital overnight and is set for surgery, the first of several he'll need. What was supposed to be another primetime showcase turned into a nightmare. And this could be the end of one of the NFL's most electrifying careers. Dr. Jeff Mueller and others believe Tyreek Hill's injury could be career-ending, and it's hard to argue. He's 31 now, likely out all of next year, meaning his return wouldn't come until age 32 or 33. Even if he makes it back, the odds of him regaining that once-in-a-generation speed and agility are slim. That's what made him unstoppable. And without it, he's just not the same Tyreek. Sure, Nick Chubb came back from something similar back in 2015, but he was a decade younger and didn't rely on elite track star speed the way Hill did. The truth is, Tyreek may have played his last NFL snap. Devastating. On the field, his positive attitude after the injury seemed to steady Miami. The Dolphins controlled most of the game, even after Jets running back Braylon Allen fumbled on the opening drive, then left with a knee injury. Miami held a 2-score lead most of the second half, though Garrett Wilson's late touchdown made it close. In the end, the Dolphins held on 27-21 for their first win of the season, dropping the Jets to 0-4. Justin Fields delivered the play of the night with a jaw-dropping 50-yard scramble touchdown on 4th down. while Garrett Wilson made a nasty grab in traffic. But the biggest splash? Darren Waller in his Miami debut. 2 touchdowns, including one right over Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner complaining about the refs after the game tells you everything. The Jets are spiraling. Miami's Devon Achane ran for 99 yards and a score. But New York handed this game away with 3 fumbles, 13 penalties, 11 missed tackles, and going 0 for 2 in the red zone. That's how you lose. Undisciplined, sloppy, flat-out bad football. Reports say head coach Aaron Glenn lit into his locker room, basically telling his players they stink. And he's not wrong, but the blame's on him too. And whoever scheduled Jets-Dolphins for Monday Night Football, fire them immediately. The second MNF game wasn't much better. Broncos versus Bengals turned into a massacre. No Burrow meant another disaster for Cincy. They've now been outscored 76-13 in 2 games with Jake Browning at quarterback. Against Denver, they were outgained 512-159. That's a scrimmage, not an NFL game. Bo Nix lit it up with 300-plus yards passing. J.K. Dobbins cracked 100 rushing, and Denver's offense cruised while the Bengals' attack collapsed. Jamar Chase was so frustrated he begged Zach Taylor for the ball mid-game, and still finished with just 5 catches for 22 yards. The Bengals' run game? Dead last in the league at 49 yards per game. No Burrow, no plan, no chance. Sure, losing a quarterback one hurts, but other teams, like the Vikings in past years, have survived quarterback chaos. Cincinnati? They're folding like paper. Yeah, the Bengals lost in the wild card before, but this looks different. This is a franchise falling apart. The defense is a wreck, the O-line is leaking like a sieve, and it doesn't matter that they've got 2 pricey star receivers when the quarterback doesn't even have time to find them. It could get uglier fast. With the Lions, Packers, and Steelers up next, there's a very real chance they slide to 2-5 after starting 0-2. That's nightmare fuel for a supposed contender. As for Denver, they're sitting at 2-2, undefeated at home, and both losses came by a combined 4 points. They've got a brutal test against Philly next, but the schedule lightens up before that huge Week 11 showdown with the Chiefs, a game that could define their season. Yeah, the Bengals lost in the wild card before, but this feels different. This is a franchise unraveling. The defense is a mess, the O-line leaks like a sieve, and what good are 2 expensive wideouts when the quarterback doesn't even have time to find them? And it might only get worse. With the Lions, Packers, and Steelers coming up, Cincinnati could realistically fall to 2-5 after starting 0-2. That's not just disappointing. That's a disaster for a team built to contend. Meanwhile, Denver is steady at 2-2, undefeated at home, and both their losses came by just 4 points combined. They'll get tested against Philly next, but their schedule eases up before that massive Week 11 clash with Kansas City, a game that could shape their season. What do you think? Are the Bengals cooked already, or can they turn it around? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.